Pony, and welcome back to the Pony Talk Podcast for your one-stop, no-stop for all things pony related. Yes, guys, welcome back to a brand new episode. We are trying to crank these out. We only got a few more and we'll be all caught up, which is our goal for the rest of the podcast, so we can be on top when the finale comes out. So, yes. But as always, I am your awesome host, Dashi101, and today, guys, I am not joined with anyone in this episode, but next episode we will be joined with a person, so yes, there's something to look forward to right there. But we're reviewing episode 20, A Horseshoe Inn is our title, so yes, I'm just gonna jump right into it. I don't really have too many other things to say. Besides one little thing saying, guys, if you want to hold the position on the podcast, please comment down below saying you want to join, and it could be your lucky day, more than likely. So yes, because we still got positions open, and they need to be filled because soon we are coming to a close, guys. As you know, yes, I know it's a very big bummer, but you know, we're rolling with it. Anyways, to the episode 20, Horseshoe Inn. So this episode takes off at the School of Friendship, where we have Twilight Starlight, in her office. Well, Starlight is in her office talking about things to herself and all that, to actually a plant. Where this plant she talks to is named Phyllis. She's got a name for this plant. So, okay. Alright, so she explains to Phyllis, you know, what's going to happen with the school. You know, Twilight's got all these crazy things and stuff like that. And just with me in particular, you know, with Trixie and all that. And then, Twilight comes in and says, Starlight, do you got a minute? And he's like, yes, I wasn't talking to anybody, no pony at all. Yeah, sit. And she says, so Starlight, I have something really, really important to tell you. And it's probably going to sound like a lot, but I need you to run the school. And this is, I guess, the quickest climax they actually had. Besides the premiere episode of the season where the princesses said that we were stepping down to retire. This also kind of puts a little bit of an impact. So Twilight wants Starlight to run the school. And it's only been a season and already the school is being handed off to some pony else. Yes. So Starlight, of course, is very overwhelmed by this because she's going to be the new head mare. This is definitely breaking the records, and Starlight's like, well, Twilight, I don't know what to do. I need you still. Like, I'm only the school counselor. That's basically it, and I have no idea how you run your job or do anything. And Twilight's like, relax, Starlight. I'm not just gonna leave you. I'm going to stay here for a little bit so you can get used to the water, and we're gonna make this happen, all right? And Starlight's like, all right. And so now we have Starlight kind of doing a Twilight moment where she is like, oh, this is going to be tough. But on top of that, Starlight suggests something by saying, oh, well, is there any way I can have other ponies to help me along with me running the school? You know how, like, you had your friends, Twilight. Could I do the same thing? And she said, absolutely. It's your call. You run the school, so technically it's all up to you, however way you want it. And so it's like, okay then. And Trixie then shows up saying, oh, Starlight. Whoa, Starlight running the school? Oh my gosh, okay. And she's like, well, you're gonna need some pony very, very well known and that can help you, that you can trust. And Starlight's like, yes, Trixie, I definitely do. And she's like, oh, Starlight, you don't have to ask. I will be glad. And Starlight's like, oh, actually, Trixie, it's not that simple. So are you telling me that I can't be assistant head mayor with my best friend? She's like, I'm not saying that, but you definitely need to earn it. And Trixie's like, oh, yes, you're absolutely right. I have to run or help you run the school, and you got to see what I'm all about and all that. Perfectly understandable. So what's up? Is it just... She's like, no. I'm going to have multiple ponies come in here, and it's technically going to be a competition, almost, to see who interacts with the students well, knows the environment very well, and can be likable in the school surroundings. And Trixie's like, okay, well, I am a really good friend to you, but I definitely think I could have some part of play in this. And she's like, well, we'll see. So, after that, we are now at the point where Starlight has ponies rounded up. We have Big Macintosh, Dr. Hooves, Octavia. We got 2 awesome background ponies. We have Spoiled Rich, or the wife of Rich. I forget the other guy's name. We have Spoiled Rich, and then oh, Trixie. Okay, my mind blinked out there. I apologize, guys. Okay, we're doing good so far. We are doing good so far. But in the sense, while we have these ponies lined up, Trixie definitely does have some competition. So, Starlight goes into the task with her speech saying, alright, you guys will be assigned to 3 different tasks, and if you can't complete all the way through until there's 1 pony standing, then you will be the new head mayor. But you'll have multiple tasks to do, and if you can complete those in the way that is likable to this whole school community, you will be accepted as assistant head mayor. And Trixie's like, this will be a piece of cake. So the first assignment is having a interview with talking to every pony who wants to be in the head mayor, talk about what they are wanting to do and all that. So Starlight kind of interviews them, see what they have in mind, and then she gives them the task of, okay, so your first task is running one of the classrooms. So each pony is assigned to a different classroom throughout the school, and most every pony does really well, besides Trixie, of course. But this is I think there's one other pony. I don't know if it was Spoiled Rich. Spoiled Rich doesn't really go too well. But Big Mac, Octavia, and Dr. Hooves, or no, I think it was Dr. Hooves that wasn't really doing the task. I might be confusing myself. But anyways, Trixie fails the first test, so it's not really good. Starlight kind of has a fit with her, and then we move on to the second one, which is the parent-teacher conferences, which is actually quite interesting. So we have the ponies once again talking to the students' parents, like, oh yes, your student's doing very well, I like your student because they do this and this, just random. If you've been with parent-teacher conferences before, then you know what it's all about. So One of them fails to kind of like do that, and this is Big Macintosh. Big Macintosh is not really much of a talker. We know this. He's kind of like, yeah. And Starlight starts to notice, and she calls Big Mac into her room, saying, "You're not really much of a talker." And he's like, "Nope." And she's like, "Well, we kind of need a head mayor or a vice head mayor to do so. You'll be doing a lot of talking and all that. If you do not wish to continue, then you can go." And Big Mac says, like, shakes his head, "I understand." And Starlight removes Big Mac from the wall for the competition. So we have Octavia, and we have Dr. Who's, Dr. Who's. So we have the field trip now. Field trip. All right. So this is at the part where we have Octavia doing a musical field trip, which ends up being kind of boring at first, and students are like, I'm not really liking this. And then Vinyl Scratch comes out, and they both do an amazing duet together, and all the students are in rave, and I think it was Gallus. I think Gallus was the one saying, you know, it's nice that we're going on a musical trip, but this is kind of boring. And then DJ Pone comes out, and they do a duet, and he's like, never mind, I take everything back now, this is awesome. Which was kind of funny. But yes, so that's looking good. And then we have Doctor Who's trying to do somewhat of a fantastic field trip for the students, but it's not really exciting. Dr. Who's takes them to his grounds, his lab and all that, with all his amazing creations and all that. And the students are somewhat impressed, but not overly. So he is also removed from the board. So now it is between Octavia and Trixie. So this is where Starlight's kind of having a problem, because knows Octavia's really good. Trixie, she doesn't want to remove, but after all the time she has failed the students and all that, she kind of wants to. And so Trixie kind of walks in and says, "Oh, I must be doing amazing. I mean, I'm really good at being amazing. What do you think, Starlight?" And Starlight's like, "Trixie, to be honest and stuff like that, I don't know if you are good for this job." And Trixie's like, "Oh, I can do something amazing." And then she has her field trip, which actually I've confused this a little bit. No, she doesn't have the conference with Trixie yet. We go to Trixie's field trip, which is just in the classroom, and students are like, "So what are we doing here?" And Trixie's like, "You know what? Instead of us actually going somewhere for a field trip, why don't I bring the field trip to the classroom?" So she does, and it's basically the entire forest with a bunch of dangerous creatures. One of them being the bees, the zap bees, I forget. Flash bees. Okay, the flash bees. The flash bees have a hive in one of the trees, and it ends up being disturbed, which ends up making a huge flash bead horde of them just everywhere, zapping ponies and all that in the classroom, destroying it. And Starlight ends up seeing the mess, and she tries to stop it. And when she does stop it, she's all burnt and all this other crazy stuff. And this is where it's not good. So this is where we have Starlight saying, and she's just out of it, done. And Trixie's like, so does that mean I got the job? And then Starlight's like, are you kidding me? You almost endangered the students. You thought it would be alright to have a napping session, and then, which the napping session was the first thing in the classroom, teaching the class, which didn't go wrong. Trixie only taught them to sleep. So, and then conferences also didn't go good because she got into a fight with one of the students' parents. And Starlight's like, you are not good enough, Trixie. You destroy everything. You don't listen. This is what needs to be done in the environment of a school. And if you can't even handle it and take it seriously, you're not good for this position. I forget what she actually says. Oh, right. She says that she's not good for anything and she always screws up. And this hits Trixie really hard. And she says, well, Starlight, if you always thought of me that way, I should have never signed up for anything. And Starlight then realizes that she made a bad mistake and realizes that she screwed up. So she's back at her office, and Twilight walks in saying, hey, how did everything go? Have you found a new headmare yet? And she sees that Starlight is down. She says, oh no, what happened? And she said, well, I had a problem with Trixie, and, I really wanted her to be headmare, but her version of being headmare, she technically had to do the complete opposite in a way that the students would not be happy with, and fought with their parents and all this other stuff. She just isn't good for the job. And then I said something hurtful on top of it, which makes me be a bad friend. And Starlight gives her advice saying, well, Starlight, sometimes we have to, look for people who do fit the position, not just because they're our friends. I only had my friends because, well, they were good for the job. They were unique in a way. And, Trixie might have something like that, but just not any part as head mare. And you just need to figure that out. She might not fit with that position, but maybe she could fit with something else. And Starlight gets the idea. You're right, Twilight. She doesn't have to be head mare. I got an idea. And so Starlight runs to Trixie's little wagon and says, Trixie, I need to talk to you. And she says, go away, Starlight. You already called me worthless and all that. So why? And Starlight's like, I understand what I said and it was wrong. Just please let me explain myself. And so she walks in and Trixie is laying on her hammock all upset and all that. And Starlight explains herself saying, listen, Trixie, you may not be the best for head mare, but I do got a position that may or may not fit you. But we're going to give it a shot. I'm sorry, and I should have never said what I said. And Trixie, of course, accepts her apology, and so, yes, while that situation gets all fixed up, she is like, so, who's going to be head mare and all of that? Or what do you have in mind? And she said, you remember Flurryheart's I can't say it. Flurryheart's Royal Crystaller, her old one, which was Sunburst, her old friend. He is really smart, would be fantastic for the job, and Starlight knows him really well. And he's very acknowledgeable with helping students around the school in a likable way. And Trixie's like, that's an amazing idea. I really like Sunburst too. He would definitely fit the position really well, but what about me? And Starlight's like, you're really good with helping people, ponies, figure out situations, even if it's not the best and stuff, you figure out situations and you are willing to talk to them, just like you did with me. So, in this sense, I am going to pronounce you Student Council of the School Friendship. And Trixie loves that idea. She's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Starlight. This means a lot. So even though Trixie couldn't fit into running the school with Starlight, she's the student counselor, the new student counselor, because that position is very important and needs to be filled up. So Trixie's like, I'm going to do this, and it's all going to fit. And she's like, I'm going to make a few changes too. And she looks at Starlight's plant, Phyllis, and says, we're gonna start with this, and throws Phyllis into the trash. And then we have the huge dramatic scene with Starlight, Phyllis, no! And then that basically ends the episode right there. Which it was a funny ending. I like funny endings. They're good. So yeah, this was an alright episode. And why I say it was an alright episode, guys, so there was a lot of good with this episode, but at the same time, I don't know, it wasn't my most favorite episode, and that's alright, but it did have a lot of likable scenes. I definitely thought this episode was in somewhat importance because, as we know, Celestia and Luna are stepping down as the royal princesses or rulers of Equestria, and soon that Starlight, Twilight, and the rest of the main six are going to have to fill that position. So Twilight's not going to be really around to occupy her school. So the position needs to be set on some pony, and what better pony to be than her prized pupil, Starlight. So seeing Starlight, interview ponies, seeing which one would fit the best position, and then figuring out a situation to get her friends to be involved with the school, was a very interesting choice. So, yeah, it was really awesome, and especially seeing Sunburst as the vice head mayor, I definitely think that's a really good decision too. I was kind of wondering, is Starlight gonna do something to make Trixie fit this position? But it was nice that she gave the position of student council to her, because I do have to agree. Even though Trixie is full of herself and she does a lot of crazy things that leave you in question, she does talk a lot of good sense, and fills ponies with goodness and tries to help them out of situations, as we've seen along with Starlight and Trixie episodes. They realize their mistakes and they move on. So yeah, it definitely was interesting to watch. So there was a lot of likableness of this episode, but at the same time, I just kind of felt, it's kind of like one of those filler episodes, but at the same time it wasn't, because it still carries along with, okay, Twilight and her friends, they're no longer going to be running the school. Who is going to take that position? So I definitely think it's really necessary that we find out who is running the school now, since, this was kind of the big thing of last season. Now it's Twilight and her friends running Equestria. So it's nice to see that and see where things go. But from here, I don't know if we're going to get any more episodes of the School Friendship of Starlight and Trixie running the school, because we are limiting down to episodes, guys, as you know. So yeah, but I want to hear from you. What did you guys think of this episode. Did you like it? Were you alright with it? Or did you just think it wasn't necessary? I would love to hear from you. Leave them down in the comments below, saying what your guys' thought, and any of you guys who want to join the podcast, because again, we are limiting down to episodes. Time's ticking, and we're going to be on the move. So yes, we are catching up, guys, and I will try my best to upload more. It's just been very busy for me, and I've been trying to do other things for the channel. So yes, but thank you all so much for watching this edition of Pony Talk. We will catch up on the next episode, which will be episode 21. Daring Doubt will be the next title. So I will see you guys there. So as always, we'll see you in the next Pony Talk podcast when we come back for episode 21, guys. Peace out, every pony. Bye!